Welcome to the Night Shift. Today we will be delving into r/glitch in the Matrix. 6 horrifyingly true stories. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment any of your own stories below. Anyway, let's begin. My friend died in 2003, but now he's alive. In 2003, I learned that a school friend had died. A friend of his girlfriend told me about it. He just died in his sleep at 23 years old. I asked if substances were involved and she said no. She was really sad because they had just gotten engaged. I told myself I would send condolences, but never did. I remember talking to a mutual friend a few years later, and I got the sense that it was still a really sensitive subject. A couple of years ago, I got a friend request from this guy. I didn't think it was real, so ignored it. Today, I learned that he's still alive. He married the girl he was engaged to, the same one he had died next to. The mutual friend I had spoken to about it now thinks I'm crazy. I just asked him to remember the conversation we had about the death. One commenter states, "There is a guy who died of a drug overdose that was in my friend group. Close enough that I had been to his family's house and gatherings numerous times. Vacations together, everything. When he died, it was terrible as expected. And I remember very well being upset that I couldn't attend anything due to living out of the state at the time. So around 5 years ago, after we moved back, my boyfriend's co-worker who grew up in the same county as us is hanging out in my home. And a news article is circulating about a man who drove under the influence and hit a toddler, and unfortunately that poor baby passed away. The guy is now in jail for life in our area. However, the man who is now in jail for this hideous action is the guy who died many years before this. The co-worker and myself said at the same time, "Hey, didn't he die a few years ago?" We could not understand how that was possible. I called my close friend since childhood, and she was also in disbelief. She also remembers him dying and it being a huge shocker and sad event. Her mum used to date the guy who we remember dying's father, so she was also in the major circle of friends around the time we are remembering his death. Many people I know remember it, some do not. I will never ask his family, as they have been through enough and it's been years since I've been around them. Dude is rightfully where he belongs to this day, but we are left baffled by this mystery and will probably never understand how this glitch of importance to certain people ever happens. Another comment reads, "This is how I discovered the Mandela effect. My ex-stepdad's aunt died. My mum and I saw the obituary on Facebook, read some comments about how the family was doing and the funeral arrangements. Then we said some nice words and memories of her and went on with our lives. A few years later, someone tells us that the ex-aunt has cancer. The dead aunt has cancer. Okay, a few years later, she died again. I suggest to check on her. She might be alive. I died last night, but I'm still here." So this actually happened last week. It took me some time to come to terms with it. I got a phone call from my next door neighbour late in the evening asking if I can help move a mattress into his upstairs. His mum is ill and has a big heavy sleep number bed. I of course ran over to help because they're great neighbours. I get over there and his friend, who is also a priest, was there to help. I helped them figure out how to separate the mattress from the bed so we could fit it upstairs. We get it all moved up and back in place when my neighbour asks if I can help move an armoire upstairs too. I think nothing of it and we pull it out of its travel trailer and start bringing it up the front stairs of his house. This is where I died. The front stairs are 11 steps. I was on the lower end of the armoire, about 6 steps up, when my neighbour and his friend lose a handle on the armoire and it comes crashing down on me and I fall backwards towards the pavement. I then wake up in my dining room to my phone ringing and my wife asking me if I'm going to answer the phone. It's my neighbour asking me if I can help move a bed upstairs for his mum. I go over there and meet his priest friend again, as this has been the first time I met him. I say I can help with the bed, but I cannot help with the armoire. My neighbour was like, "How'd you know about the armoire?" I proceeded to tell them I'm pretty sure I just died. I spent the next hour talking with the priest. He had so many questions. My neighbour didn't believe it until I described the upstairs bedroom in perfect detail, down to the metal mattress frame on the floor and the intricate headboard leaning against the wall, and I had never been upstairs in their house before. The priest asked me what I saw after I died. I told him I never actually died. Before it happened, I woke up at my dining room table. TLDR. I experienced my death but woke up about 20 minutes earlier in my life. Thank you for all the awards. I never expected this post to blow up. I've been trying my best to follow the comments and post answers to questions or clarify statements. A commenter follows. This happened to me when I was about 18 years old, and maybe other times I'm less aware of. I have a group of friends who have all experienced their own death at least once and are aware of it. It seems to happen to many people. Here's my take on what's happening. At the bottom, this is a collection of the stories I can find like this. My story. After a fresh, light rain, I was turning onto an on-ramp and I started to accelerate from around 40 miles per hour to about 70 to merge with the high-speed traffic on the expressway. As soon as I touched the gas, my car swung around and I started drifting across 4 lanes of 70 mile per hour rainy traffic, facing the cars as my car was now facing backwards, sliding everywhere. I remember one guy giving me the finger as he flew past me. Then I remember a horrible crunching, wrenching sound, and suddenly my car was moving back the other way toward the bridge side, over the highway I had just turned off. As my car slid back across traffic, I was sure I was going to slam into the bridge side and end on the road below. When I got to the point where that would happen, there was another huge slamming / crunching, and then suddenly I was just stalled out on the on-ramp, like I had driven up onto the highway and stalled or stopped in the breakdown lane on the bridge as soon as I got up there. I got out and looked at my car from all angles, and there wasn't a scratch or dent or any evidence of what just happened. I remember there being a horrible explosive type of collision twice, but nothing. I just smoked a cigarette in the on-ramp / breakdown lane, called my parents and told them I loved them, and then went on my first date with my future wife. It was my weirdest experience. Me and my daughter witnessed something surreal and unexplainable today. For a few weeks before this, while out driving, I've observed pedestrians standing at the traffic lights who will reach into their pocket and look at their phone as they're walking across the road when the light goes green. Nothing significant or strange about this, just one of those mundane things you notice while going about your day. Today, I was driving with my daughter and we stopped at a red light at a crossing and there was a man standing there. Nothing out of the ordinary, denim jacket, black cap, glasses, around 6'2". I thought I'd try to weird out my young daughter. She's 5, so I knew I was going to blow her damn mind. So I said, "See that man? When the walking man goes green and he starts to walk across, he'll reach into his pocket and pull out his phone and start looking at it. Watch and see." As he crosses, He reaches into his pocket, but then immediately takes his hand out, looks and points right at me with his mouth open smiling like a gotcha stance. Of course, my daughter found this absolutely hilarious, and I just sat there completely mind blown. I must have sat there in silence looking at him walk across for the next 10 seconds. I drove on and had a look at him as I drove past. He was smirking and laughing. I've been playing it through my head all day. The windows were up, the radio was on. I wasn't shouting, my voice was not even remotely raised. He must have been about 15 to 20 feet away from me. I can't figure out at all how he could have heard me. It's literally impossible. How did he know I was trying to predict he'd reach into his pocket for his phone? The only even remote possibility I can think of is that he has had the same observation as me and thought I might be thinking the same thing, so just went for it. But realistically, what are even the chances of this? Mum died years ago. Dad got a phone call from her. My mum died 13 years ago. About 4 years ago, my dad was on vacation in Arizona with his girlfriend. He said he was up watching TV and the hotel phone rang. He answered it and said it was my mum's voice saying, "I'm okay." He said, "Cass?" And he said the phone was crackly and said, "Tell Heather, me, I am okay." He said his girlfriend was confused why the phone rang. He immediately called me even though it was late and he was crying. My dad doesn't believe in supernatural, but still to this day can't explain that call. One Redditor replies, "My mother was murdered when I was 16. About 3 or 4 months later, my aunt got a static-filled phone call one night with my mother's voice saying, 'I'm okay. Tell the kids I love them.' About the same time, I walked into my grandparents' house one early evening. I lived with them, nobody was home when I got there that day, and I heard my mum's voice say my name clear as day. I even knew where the voice came from and immediately looked in that direction, where the phone was located. There was nothing there. Scared me out of my wits. I later told my grandmother about it and she said, "Your mummy didn't mean to scare you. She won't bother you anymore." To this day, I can't explain either incident. My girlfriend and I experienced something very, very strange tonight. So, we're just on the couch watching MasterChef, like usual. She'd taken her medication, so I knew she was probably going to go to bed soon. After the episode, she did her usual door checks to make sure everything was locked and stuff. She can't go to bed without making sure everything is shut and locked, i.e. windows, doors, all that. And then I followed her in the bedroom to lay with her for a little bit while she fell asleep. Not 15 seconds into laying there with her, we hear absolutely clear as day this clacking sound coming from the kitchen. It was loud. I could hear it with my bedroom door closed. It honestly sounded like something with real weight was walking around my kitchen. So I lock my bedroom door, she calls her friend, and we just hear this thing walking around my house. After 2 to 3 minutes, it just stops. I tentatively go out of the bedroom, look around my entire house. Empty. Door is locked, every window shut. I have no clue what happened, but that was the strangest thing I have ever experienced in my life. My dad's gut feeling. I was 17 at the time, and me and my dad had just finished our fishing trip, and it was almost midnight, mid-fall. When I was about to get in the car, he told me he did not want me to sit in the front seat on the ride home. We argued about it for about 5 minutes, and he did not give any good reason to why he did not want me to. I gave up and got in the back seat. It was pitch black outside. When we had been driving on the main road for about 2 minutes, we saw a car driving in our lane. Right as we were about to collide, my dad swerved into the other lane, and so did the car in front of us. I heard my dad say, "I knew it," at the very last second, and then I blacked out. Woke up when the police showed up at the scene. They helped me out of the car. I was barely conscious and don't remember much after that. Only thing that is still crystal clear in my memory is that I saw my dad sitting in the car waving at me with tears in his eyes. When I later asked where my dad was, I was told that he had flown out of the car window and landed only a few feet from the car and passed away later in the ambulance. I was told the man we crashed with died on impact and also had a 17-year-old daughter in the back seat who survived. I still can't believe that this really happened. This was 6 years ago. Edit. I believe the gut feeling he had was that something terrible was about to happen, and if someone was going to die, he chose himself instead of me. Therefore, I believe he decided not to put the seatbelt on. I also believe it was his spirit saying goodbye since he wasn't able to do it. This has been The Night Shift. If you enjoy this type of content, I post 2+ videos weekly. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow night.